Hi, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 different stages of money throughout your life and what you need to learn by each of those stages. Welcome back to Money with Min. If you're new here, my mission is to teach you the basic building blocks about money so we worry less and enjoy life more. If you're looking to get rich quick, this is not the channel for you, but if you want to get wealthy for sure, then hit that subscribe button for weekly videos on how to get wiser with your money. So growing up in an immigrant family, we didn't have much when I was young. So I really learned the value of money from a very young age. And when I was much younger, I was certain that money could buy success and happiness. But now that I'm much older, it is definitely not the case. But not having enough money, or even worse, not knowing how to use it correctly, can stop you from having happiness. Because let's face it, we've all had money problems in our life and it can be a very stressful thing. So the earlier you can get a good grasp and foundation of how money works, the better the rest of your life will be. As a quick reminder, this is all based off of my personal experience, so I'm sure your life will be a little bit different. So the first stage of money in your life will be your teenage years, roughly between 13 and 17 years old. And during this stage in your life is when you should be building the basics of financial education. During this time, you're still living with your parents, so you have no rent to pay. So whatever you earn from your part-time job, be saving it, be smart with it. Whatever you get from your allowance, your birthdays, holidays, or your part-time job, save as much of it as you can. Ask your parents to open up a checking or savings account for you so you can start saving money. And please refrain from buying the latest toys and gadgets out there. You don't need the newest iPhone, use what you have. And if you do want a new phone or you want a new PlayStation, save up for it, right? Work for it. And if you're able to earn that thing the hard way all on your own, you'll really start to understand what the value of money really is. You can also ask your parents to open up a credit card for you, but remember that a credit card is not free money. Opening a credit card early will allow you to build your credit history, but remember to be very, very careful about how you use it and to pay off anything you put on your credit card. You should definitely not be building up credit card debt this early in your life. And if you're super advanced, you can ask your parents to open up an IRA for you and you can start investing as a teenager, which will be amazing for later on in your life. And if you're planning to go to college, get good grades, study hard, do well in school. There are plenty of scholarships and grants to be had out there, so keep a lookout for those because college is expensive. So the second money stage in your life will be between the ages of 18 and 25, which is your college years and your early career. And if you're listening to this and you're about to enter college, remember that college is very, very expensive, especially for the higher end schools. Any major student loan debt you take on now may last for the rest of your life, so be very, very careful about the decisions you make when you're young. There are a couple alternatives here, like going to community college first and then transferring to a better school later on. Or like I mentioned earlier, looking very hard for scholarships and grants to help offset the cost of college. And during your college years, try to live as frugally as you can. If you can, still live at home with your parents or live with a ton of roommates. Work a part-time job and save everything you can. And work and study really hard along the way. And make sure you're finding the right internships to get a head start on your career. And also don't be too proud to apply for financial aid and scholarship because there are plenty to be had out there. Trust me, you're gonna need all the help that you can get. So let's say you're able to graduate college with a manageable amount of student debt. You get a job that starts paying you pretty good money for the first time in your life. My biggest tip here is to still live like a college student for as long as you can. And I'll link a video down below about lifestyle creep, which is the most important thing to control during this time in your life. Remember to save as much as you can while you pay off your student debt and start building up an emergency fund within your savings account. And since you're young and you don't have money, don't go out and buy things you can't afford. You don't need nice things, you don't need nice clothes, you don't need nice cars. Live like you're a college student. And at this stage in your life, you're probably building up a social circle, so be very careful about how you're spending your weekends and where that money is going. Remember that bars and restaurants can be very, very expensive, so keep your budget in check. Find alternatives like hanging out with your friends at home and cooking meals and hanging out there. During this time in your life, you're gonna start to want to build your wealth very slowly. So if you want to be smart about this, start budgeting what you have and tracking everything that you spend. I'll have a link to my budgeting video down below. And if you're in your early 20s, you probably think, oh, I need a car. But please stop thinking that you need a nice, fancy new car. If you can afford one with cash, go ahead and buy one. You're doing just fine. But if you can't, buy a used car. Buy a used car and drive that as long as you need to. Taking out a big car payment at this age is such a financial trap that you need to avoid at all costs. And remember that the primary purpose of your car at this point in your life is to get you from point A to point B. Don't worry about status, don't worry about looking cool, don't worry about having a Beamer or Mercedes or a Tesla at this point. Just worry about saving money. My final piece of advice for this stage in your life is to be smart with your money and take some risk. Continue building up your credit history and your credit score, which will be beneficial to you later on in life. And in your early 20s, think about what career you really want. If you get stuck in a job that you don't like or you're not enjoying, now is the time to change that. Don't be stuck. Don't be complacent. Move on to something else that you actually do enjoy. Don't think that your first job will be your last job. Move around as much as you need to until you find the right job and the right passion that fits what you want to do. And even consider some risky investments and taking some big bets. If they pay off with the time horizon you have left, it'll be a huge win. And even if they don't pay off, it's a big life lesson that you learned, and you'll have plenty of time to recover from that. The next stage in your life is between the ages of 26 and 40, which I'm near the very end of. During this stage, your career is probably advancing pretty quickly, and you're likely going to be starting a family at some point during this time. And if you've chosen the right career path, you're going to be making more and more money every single year. So take into account how to properly use that money and how to use it wisely. The biggest purchase to look out for at this point in your life, and probably your entire life, is probably buying a house. And houses are really expensive depending where you live. So my advice for you here is don't rush yourself into buying a house just because someone expects you to. Buy a house because it's something that you want to do and that you have the right amount of money to do so. The rule of thumb here is to have between 10 and 20% as a down payment, and make sure you have enough cash left over so that you're not completely poor and broke if you buy a house. And remember not to buy a bigger house than you actually need or can even afford. The amount you pay in housing should still fall between 25 and 40% of your take-home income, because if it's more than that, you're going to be stressing out and living paycheck to paycheck just to live in a nice house that you can't afford. And if you do own a home, one very effective way to reduce your housing costs is something called house hacking, which is effectively having roommates live within your house, paying your rent, which lowers your monthly mortgage. And one of the biggest mindset shifts you'll have to account for during this time is that you're no longer living for yourself. You're gonna have a partner to take care of finances together, and eventually kids that you have to plan for as well. And kids are gonna be expensive no matter how you look at it. So if you're gonna have kids, start planning for that now. And if you haven't started investing already, start investing heavily now. Whether it's through your 401k retirement plan at work or through your personal brokerage or your Roth IRA, whatever it is, make sure you're investing into the market so your money can work for you. And if you're still holding on to debt, start paying those off aggressively as fast as you can. And I'll have some links about my approach to paying off debt down below. My final advanced tip during this time is to start tracking your net worth. And what I mean by this is effectively your financial progress meter for the rest of your life. You can use tools like Personal Capital, which I'll have a link down below, or even just a basic Google sheet tracking all your finances. To track your net worth, you need to keep a running tally of all your investments, your savings, your retirement accounts, essentially anything in your name that has value. And then you need to subtract all the liabilities you have, like your debts, your student loans, your car debt, and even your mortgage if you have one. And moving to the fourth stage of money in your life is the advanced part of your career and preparing for retirement. Hopefully for most of you watching this, by the time you reach this stage in your life, you'll have accumulated a pretty good amount of money. So you need to be very smart about how you use it and where it goes. Now, I'm only about to enter this phase of my life, so I can't speak to it personally, but here are some things that I'm planning for. The first thing I'm thinking about is just wealth management in general. And what I mean by this is to be very strategic and smart about where all my money is, how I'm managing it, where I'm investing it, and what I'm going to be using it for. And for me, this is one of the biggest reasons why I started this channel, to consciously think about wealth management and what I'm actively doing about it. The second thing I'm thinking about here is to plan for kids. Now, I don't have any yet, but I definitely want to be able to plan out the strategy for how much it will cost to have kids and raise them throughout their adulthood, and how much it will cost to send them to college. And I've done my research and I know it costs a lot, so I might as well plan for it now. The third thing I'm thinking about during this stage, this is where I'm making sure my retirement accounts are in a good spot, that my portfolio is balanced with the right investments over time, and that I have a game plan to pay off my house in the next few decades. And all this is with the ultimate goal of reaching enough wealth where I can live off the rest of my life while taking care of my future family as well as my parents. And the fifth and final stage of money that I've identified is the end game, when you retire. And this is where you want to live life to the fullest. And during this final stage in your life, you're turning all your retirement accounts and all those resources and all the tools you've learned into income that should last you the rest of your life. And since I'm so far away from that time, all I can do now is to plan far ahead to make sure that my money can last me the rest of my life. But by that time, hopefully all the tools and resources that I've learned along the way will serve me the right purpose, and that all that planning and preparation will pay off for my end game. Hey, if this was useful to you, please give this video a like. I'd really appreciate it. Which stage of your life are you in right now? And do you agree that these are the things you need to know by then? And if you want to see more weekly videos about how to get wiser with your money, definitely consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.